Welcome to episode 150 of the XS Noize Podcast. I'm Mark Millar. Thanks for listening. In this episode, I speak to guitar legend Peter Frampton. If you missed the previous episode, I spoke to Nick Hayward from Haircut 100 about the 40th anniversary of their classic debut album, Pelican West. So check it out. And if you like the podcast, please subscribe on your favourite listening platform, give us a rating, and leave a comment. Peter Frampton is one of the most celebrated artists and guitarists in rock history. In 2007, Frampton won a Grammy for Best Pop Instrumental Album for Fingerprints, and in 2014 was inducted into the Musicians Hall of Fame. After 47 years, Frampton Comes Alive remains one of the top-selling live records of all time, selling over 17 million worldwide. In this interview, Peter talks about his Live at the Royal Albert Hall album, doing session work on George Harrison's All Things Must Pass, working with David Bowie, discovering the talk box, and lots more. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the XS Noize Podcast with Peter Frampton. Hi Peter, welcome to the XS Noize Podcast.
Well, thank you. It's very nice to be with you.
It's an absolute pleasure to have you. You're an absolute legend.
Oh, well, okay. You say so. I don't know about that.
Let's get into it then. Can you tell me about your earlier musical influences and how they shaped your style as a guitarist and a musician?
Yes. I mean, the first kind of sound that I heard guitar-wise was Eddie Cochran and Buddy Holly and American, but UK-wise, it was Hank Marvin and the Shadows and Cliff Richard's band, backup band, basically, who became the biggest instrumental band ever, you know. So it was basically those, and then obviously the Beatles came along, and so we started singing. But I was listening to a lot of American guitarists, English guitarists, all our blues players, all the American blues players, and also a lot of jazz players as well. But my very first influence was not only Hank Marvin of the Shadows, but my father and mother, before I was born, used to party up in London, dancing to the Hot Club de France, which is Django Reinhardt, Stéphane Grappelli, and more acoustic players behind them. And Django Reinhardt, I listened to him when my dad first played me some of him, and I said, but it's not electric. It's acoustic and it's jazz. And I said, ugh. You know, so, and then I went back to Hank Marvin and the Ventures and Nero and the Gladiators, all these instrumental bands, and listened to all that. But then one day, my dad was playing Hot Club de France Django, and I couldn't leave the room because he did a run from the bottom string to the top fret on the first string. And I said, he's really good, isn't he? Django Reinhardt. So it's funny because Hank is a friend. Hank Marvin is a dear friend for many years now, and he and I both share the love of Django Reinhardt. So it's really cool. But I mean, that's the beginning. Then it goes, you know, Hendrix. You know, it just goes on and on and on. But I listen to all guitar players, as many as I can, and pick bits from everybody. We all steal, you know.
What age were you when you actually first picked up the guitar?
Banjolele, the banjo-shaped ukulele I was 7. And then when I was 8, my dad and mum got me, Father Christmas brought me a guitar.
Well, in November 2022, you performed at the Royal Albert Hall in London to a sold-out crowd. The show has now been released as a live album, capturing the stunning performances of your finest songs. What memories do you have from that night?
Well, it started in the morning just being there. I played at the Albert Hall before, but not as me the artist. I played with Bill Wyman's Rhythm Kings there quite a few years ago now, and have always thought that this was the place to play, and so the whole tour was pretty much based around getting a good date at the Albert Hall. So it was very, very special. We knew we were filming, and on top of just the rush and the excitement about playing that room, and there's something so special about it. I mean, when it was built, it didn't sound very good, but then since they've done that mega million upgrade on the sound and everything with those, it looks fantastic. Actually, what they've done, the sound is so good in there for a round building. It's very good, and so we were just in awe, I think, of being there.
You played so many classic songs at the gig, which are on the album. Songs like "Show Me the Way," "Baby I Love Your Way." Do you feel like we do? Is there a particular song that holds a special place in your heart? And if so, what's the story behind it?
Well, I think of the ones that are on the CD, the new release, new album, I guess "Lines on My Face" is pretty close to my heart because it was it's one of those songs that you say, did I write that? Really? That's not bad, that song, and so it just came out of the end of a relationship, and the emotions that one goes through at that time. It's unrequited love, basically. You don't want it to end, but somebody else does. So it's the other half doesn't. So it's a very emotional, very difficult, sad situation, obviously. So yeah, that song, that's what that's about.
We've all been there.
Yes.
Your breakthrough album, Frampton Comes Alive, remains the top-selling live records of all time, selling over 17 million worldwide after 47 years. Now, I remember as a kid looking through my dad's record collection and gazing at the gatefold sleeve of Frampton Comes Alive. You looked otherworldly with your blonde curls, holding your Gibson Les Paul with the spotlights behind you.
Right.
So what do you think contributed to its enormous success, and what are your fondest memories from that period?
Well, obviously the answer is what made it so big. The general answer is no idea. But my theory is that I bring something to the live environment where I'm totally uninhibited, and I really have always involved the audience as much as possible. And I just feel that I have something that I bring to the stage which brings the audience in. And it's just my demeanor and my music, it's a combination, obviously, during the show. And I think that's, if you we had that night, not that it wasn't every night, but I mean, that night, especially because it was the first time we'd headlined in San Francisco we'd played Winterland before, but supporting. And, so when we walked out that night, I'll never forget the ovation. I mean, well, I can't forget it. It's on record. but I mean, I remember the rush of emotion, of, oh my goodness, is that for me? And I felt like I'd really achieved something because it was that very first exciting feeling of filling a huge place, 7,000-8,000 people, and it was an unbelievable feeling. And Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know. There's certain things I can't remember about it, but I remember coming off that night, and normally, one guy will say, I had a bad show, and the other guy go, I had a good show, and then say, well, it was okay, but we all came off and we went, oh my God, we had everybody was like in tune. It was so fantastic. And we went to the recording truck outside, and listened to a couple of songs, and were blown away by the energy of there's something on that record that we captured with us exuding enjoyment of playing the music. We were so into it, obviously, and the combination of that and the acceptance from the audience. It doesn't matter where you put the needle down on that record, you start to smile. It makes you smile. I don't know why, what it is, but it's got it.
Absolutely. Was there always plans to release it as a live record?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, that was after the Frampton record, which contained the studio versions of Show Me the Way and Baby I Love You Way. We had, when we went out in 75 to promote that album, we planned ahead where would be the best place to record for a live album, because at that point, after the Frampton album came out, and it was relatively successful compared to my other releases, and got into the charts, and everything. So we just really followed the template of Humble Pie, really. No, because Humble Pie had 4 studio albums out, and it was the 5th it was the 5th album that was rocking the Fillmore, the live one at the Fillmore. Yeah. So this Frampton was my 4th solo record, and we just went. We didn't really say anything. Jerry Moss and management and myself all just went, it's time. We should do the same thing. And another thing that Jerry Moss, we've just lost Jerry. It's a very sad year this year with so many people going. But Jerry Moss was the one that made it a double live album, not a single one. He heard the single album that we did, and he said, well, I want more. Where's this one? Where's that one? Where's this? And so we had to do that. But also he had the brilliant idea of it had to be a double lives. But he said, at that point over here, I'm not sure what albums were at that point in England, but a single album was $6.98, and so he said, let's add $1 and give him a double album. So it was $7.98. So it was a really good deal, Yeah. So I think that was it mainly. It was just that it was a good deal.
They're a lot more expensive nowadays.
I think so.
Do you feel like we do? It's one of your favorite one of your signature songs, and known for the iconic talk box guitar solo. Can you tell me the story behind how you discovered and incorporated the talk box into your music?
Yes, when I was probably in my maybe in my early teens, listening to Radio Luxembourg after I was supposed to go to bed. No, I would have been not even teenager. This was probably when I was 9 or 10, listening to Radio Luxembourg, and they had this call sign, which it was Fabulous 208, and it went Fabulous 208, and I always thought, what do they do that? What is that? And so I kept on thinking about it. And then we fast forward to 1970, and I heard that sound again. Well, I heard it on American stations too when I came over here. They would do their 100 FM, with the same sound. And so in 1970, when Stevie Wonder brought out Music of My Mind, he got this talk box, which they made by Custom KUS, called the Bag. And you'd put it over your shoulder. It had a speaker, a driver in the bag, and then the tube would come around here. And he would use the synthesizer. I said, "There it is. I've got to find one. They have to have them somewhere. There's got to be one, whatever it is." So the next year, in fact, the same year, I was asked by George Harrison to play on the All Things Must Pass sessions for his album. And we had halfway through the sessions, Pete Drake, the pedal steel player from Nashville here, flew in and he'd played with Bob Dylan, as well as he was one of the A-team, they call them over here in Nashville. They still exist. It's just all the best musicians on every track, and he was the guy, the pedal steel guy. And so in a slow moment in the studio at Abbey Road, I'm set up right opposite Pete Drake. And he said, "Hey, Peter, do you want to hear something?" And I said, "What you got?" He said, "Okay." So he gets out this little black box, puts it on the end of his pedal steel and plugs things in and whatever, he's doing all this. And then he gets this pipe and he puts this clear pipe in his mouth, and the pedal steel starts singing to me. And with, guess what? Fabulous away. It's that sound. So the circle has been completed for me, And I said, "Oh my God, that's it." And I said, "Where did you get it? I want to get one. I've wanted one for so long, whatever this thing is." And he said, "Oh, I made this one myself." Oh. So anyway, long story short, Joe Walsh borrowed that one to do his classic song, Rocky Mountain Way, with the talkbox, which was the first upright 6-string player kind of sound with the talkbox. And his friend, Bob Heil, made him a louder one. It was more efficient for stage. And that's the one Bob Heil, Joe's friend, and my PA guy, he made all the PAs that we used back then. He sent me one for Christmas. Wow. So, yeah. And even if I had to pay for it, at that time, it was $150. So, it was a cheap gimmick that I used, but the effect is instant on anybody that listens to it. But right now, there's been so much auto-tune and that kind of sounds like it, but that's digital. The talkbox is still analog, and you can do things with it you can't do with the digitals. So I still use it.
In 2020, you announced the farewell tour, but you've been back on the road this year with the Never Say Never tour, and you'll be playing more dates in November. Do you have any more plans to come back to the UK and Ireland?
At the moment, no. I have, because of my IBM, I kind of have to say, okay, go book it, but I can't say how my hands are going to be, So because it's it's a very slow progressing disease, so I'm very thankful for that. But we are doing another 8 shows in the US in November. And then I will make the decision whether we do something next year and we come back to the UK and Europe. At this moment, I can't say. I would love to. Obviously, I don't want to stop playing ever, but I just have to be cognizant and realistic about my condition.
You've collaborated with many legendary artists. over the years, such as Ringo Starr, The Who's John Entwistle, David Bowie, members of Pearl Jam, and more recently Dolly Parton on her Rockstar album.
Yes.
Is there a particular collaboration that stands out as a favorite or a significant learning experience for you?
Oh gosh. Well, playing with David, obviously we went to school together, so to finally be on the same stage at the same time, we'd been on the same stage the same evening, but not at the same time. Mm-hmm. And to actually play with David after all that time, being friends, that was probably one of the most special things that I've been asked to do by my buddy, you know. And I think the special thing about that was that I didn't quite realize the enormity of David Bowie saying he's good by having me in the band as a guitar player. I kind of lost a little bit of my reputation as a guitar player due to the face and the front covers and things like that, and the screaming girls and all that. So what David did was give me this incredible gift of bringing me back and saying, look, yeah, forget all that. This is what he is. He's a guitar player. And I thank him at least once a day. I miss him terribly, like we all do. But yeah, he was kind of like an older brother to me. So yeah, it was a very, very special thing he did.
If you could go back and relive one musical moment from your career, what would it be?
Can I give you two?
Yeah, of course.
well, the first one is George Harrison asking me to come back after we did the tracks for, I was on 4 or 5 tracks of All Things Must Pass when we actually laid them down. And then George called me up and asked me to come and overdub some more acoustics with him, just the two of us. And sitting on 2 stools, looking at Phil Spector through the glass, and overdubbing on songs that I played on, and then songs that I didn't play on the original track. George would quickly show me the chords, and that is unforgettable. I mean, and then in between songs we jam, you know, on acoustic. So that was so much fun and means so much to me. When I did my instrumental record, Fingerprints, I got to play with the Shadows with Hank Marvin, and we started this conversation talking about him and the Shadows. And I asked Hank if he'd write a tune with me, and he and Brian Bennett, the original drummer of the Shadows, wrote some, and then I wrote some of it with Gordon Kennedy and from Nashville here. And then when I went to London, I spent one entire day, literally nearly a complete day, in hours, tracking with the person who's the reason why I started playing guitar. And it doesn't get any better than that. So yes, that's a very, very special. Both those moments are something that you wish you could relive, you know, and do again. And Hank is still doing really well. He lives in Perth in Australia, and we stay in touch, and hopefully one day we'll get to play together again.
That would be great. Great stories. Great stories.
Thank you.
Finally, what do you hope your legacy in the music industry would be?
I could say, you know, good guitar player would be musically, that's what I would want. Good guitar player, very great live situation, But I think I'd like to be remembered for the fact that I care about what I do so much. It's not like I ever got into music for any other reason than because of the love of playing guitar. And I think that's the most important thing for me, is that people realize how much I loved music. Like we all like music. I just completely loved it and loved playing it. On this recent summer, we went out for 3 little short trips. It was probably the best ever, because the audience, we're all sitting down, because I have to sit down to play now. And my band sits down too. And what it did was it kind of brought the audience in. It was like they were watching us in the living room or something. And they can tell they know, if they don't know, they say, well, why is he sitting down? Then someone will tell them, and so I think it meant for a completely different feeling in the audience, and that I treasured. I mean, I really felt like the audience was one big pair of arms, and they were saying, we're here, we know you're fighting for this, and we care. And so I care about the audience a lot. They've been unbelievable to me, especially most recently.
And long may it continue.
Yes.
Thanks very much, Peter. Just before we go, is there anything else you would like to mention? Any upcoming musical projects that you're currently working on, or anything that you're excited about?
Yes, I have been working on all brand new material, solo album, and I will continue working on it until it's ready. So there's no release date, there's no finish date, there's no nothing. I like to work, because one doesn't always, okay, today I'm going to write a really good piece of music. There's periods of creativity, and there's periods of taking in inspiration. And so I take in inspiration, and like the other day, I came back from a trip and went straight in my music room. I started writing something brand new, and I'm working on it right now. So, yeah, I'm excited. So, yeah, I need to write another 4 or 5, I think, that really blow me away, because otherwise I can't expect to blow any other person away. So it's in the works, and it'll be a great album. It will be the best I can do at this time in my life, and it's some of the things I've got already are very exciting.
Well, I'm excited to hear it. Hopefully, it won't be too long.
Well, no, but I don't know. I can't promise anything.
Well, Peter Frampton, it's been an absolute pleasure to speak to you. Fantastic. So I wish you all the best on the new tour and the new music coming out. As I said, I can't wait to hear it. So thanks very much.
Oh, well, thank you, and I hope to see you over there.
Yeah, that will be amazing. Come to Belfast.
Oh, if we come there, we'll definitely be in Belfast.
Great. Okay, well, Peter, listen, again, it's been a pleasure, and have a great day.
You too. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye, Peter.
Bye-bye.